So I'm kind of tired.
Are you?
Yeah.
You don't look tired. You look great.
So I played basketball for like 2 hours
Today?
last night.
Last night you did?
Yeah.
With all your CrossFit?
I did the workout yesterday for like, it was gnarly. All like legs, and then I went and played basketball last night.
And that like pushed you around the bend.
And it's just all guys from the neighborhood. But and usually like
was it like church ball?
Yeah.
Was it a church ball?
Yeah.
Also, it was violent and it was scary.
But we're all like we can like check each other and elbow.
That's church ball, man.
Yeah, but we don't like get all mad and fight about it.
All right.
But last night like everyone showed up. Like usually it's like half the group shows up, everyone shows up, and it was so we played.
So you're feeling it today?
Yeah.
Because you don't want to sit out.
No, you don't. Yeah, and it was
church ball,
and it was.
Oh,
it was fun. There's nothing better than that, and then I can still like use my hockey.
I was going to say hockey.
I can use my
get those elbows up. And
I do. Yeah.
Drop those shoulders.
I'm easy. I think I'm the smallest guy there.
Yeah,
but
you're solid.
I throw some elbows.
Remember the mystery escape room, man? When you climbed up on my leg, I was like, I'm going to die. Pat's built like a brick. Something.
I don't know about a brick.
Well, he's a brick. Yeah.
Maybe like Adobe.
A brick house. He's made of Adobe.
Mud and straw. Mud and straw. All right, we're live, so we probably should start. We should probably start this thing. All right.
Okay. This is the Wealth Standard Podcast, the gold standard in all things financial.
Hi, everyone. This is Patrick Donohoe. Welcome to the Wealth Standard Radio. We're on episode 196.
That's crazy.
We're approaching. What is it? Is it double centennial? Like, what's the
bicentennial?
Bicentennial. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, 200. We need to do something cool.
We do.
I don't know what that cool would be.
Yeah, we'd have to. We're already like super cool, so we have to.
Yeah, really. The only way we could be beat is maybe Chuck Norris or something like that.
Dude, if we can get Chuck Norris,
wouldn't that be fun?
That'd be cool.
And we may have to make some calls.
Like Jean-Claude Van Damme, do like a split on the desk or something.
All right.
No, that would not be cool.
I think we're going to make some calls
awkward.
and see if we can get Chuck Norris on the podcast. Wouldn't that be fun?
That'd be cool in the flesh.
I don't know about that. Would you pay?
Do you know any Chuck Norris jokes off the top of your head?
No. Not a one.
Okay. I don't either. I can't remember.
I know he was a bad guy in a Bruce Lee movie. That's really all I know about Chuck Norris.
I grew up on Chuck Norris movies.
Oh, did you really?
Oh, yeah. All right. So
I've got a blind spot.
Maybe we should do a whole podcast on like just Chuck Norris metaphors.
The ideology of Chuck Norris.
Seriously, you can learn a lot of lessons from that.
See that? You know what would be great is if we had a Cash Flow Wealth Summit presentation, The World According to Chuck.
Yeah.
And see if we couldn't make that apply, like one of those weird Blade Runner classes in college where they really break everything down on an intellectual level and make it cool.
Well, if it was Chuck Norris, he wouldn't even have to show up. It would just be amazing.
Just because his name is
he's somewhat associated with it.
You know it. Absolutely.
That's an attempt at a Chuck Norris funny metaphor, anecdote. Yeah, whatever. I totally missed the punchline. All right, but we're going to talk about the Cash Flow Wealth Summit today, right?
Right, yeah. I'm really excited about this.
Yeah.
Why am I excited, Patrick? Why am I excited? Because I wasn't here when you guys did
the first one.
The first two, actually.
So the one last summer. You came on right after that.
Right at the tail end of it was when I was fortunate enough to join you and your team here.
Yep.
And I missed it. So I'm having a great time preparing for this and learning about the process. And I'm blown away by everything that's happening with this cash flow. And as I understand it, the last one was huge, but this one's even bigger.
Yeah, some of the keynote speakers, because I think if you're in like, you do an event a couple times, it's kind of like, do I really want to associate myself with, speaking there? But we have just some incredible people that have been so gracious and generous to us, where they've taken time and recorded videos and really put a lot of effort into it. I mean, the previous year, some of those, like Kim Kiyosaki's is still kind of one of hers and Blair Singer's from a few years ago are like some of my favorite presentations. So you had these people where, we really didn't have anything as far as goodwill or brand. Yeah. And they, went all out and created some amazing presentations. So this go around, it's going to be, hopefully it's going to be a similar dynamic, but we have some really amazing speakers that are going to be with us, and it's going to be a fun event.
We should probably take a little bit of time, and you can fill in people that are kind of like myself that may not have been around for the other Cash Flow Wealth Summits. This is a really unique event.
Yeah.
And maybe we should take some time and explain to people what exactly this is. Unlike a lot of summits, conventional summits, you don't have to pay to be involved with this, right? This is there are things you can pay for to do extra, but you can do this completely for free.
Yeah.
Just like listening to the Wealth Standard right now.
Well, it's more of what people walk away with going to a convention, right? Is
Okay.
it the same? Not really, because when you go to a physical environment, right, you're totally outside of your comfort zone. You're with strangers.
You're in a hotel. You've had to fly.
Exactly.
In most
so
cases.
you're like focused. You're unplugged, and so I get that. I'm not sure if that's unless there's like VR type of headsets and
Right.
you can really
It's
experience. It's coming, right? That would be like cash flow. 2020, 2021.
That'd be so cool.
That'd be awesome. But anyway, right now, it doesn't really replace that physical environment. I love conferences, right? It's one of those. I've had so many breakthroughs, so much benefit, whether it's networking or just having an idea or having the motivation. I've benefited a ton, but I know that there are people across the world that don't have that experience. And so a number of years ago, I saw another virtual event. I thought it was the coolest thing ever, and it was a B2B, which is business to business company.
Right.
But they had a lot of good speakers, and it was just webinars. It was people there just got on and did a PowerPoint or did a presentation, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever.
Is that you saw this was the inspiration for
yeah, it was a combination, right? So there's a ton that I learned from that I still learn from going to conferences.
Yeah.
And I know other people would get so much out of that the way that I do.
Yeah.
This is a way in which you bring down that barrier to entry, where you have speakers, motivators, topics of interest, and also an environment to learn and get ideas. But the barrier is pretty much nothing. It's an internet connection. That's it. And maybe a couple of hours, whether it's at night or during your workday, taking a few hours off to listen to different the different speakers that are presenting. But it's a way in which we had more than 11,000 people last year.
Holy
right?
cow!
Yeah, and
really?
And then for we did kind of a test one on specific to real estate where we had several thousand people in the fall, right? You were part of that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's one of those. There's so many people out there all across the world. I mean, we had over a dozen countries represented.
Okay, well, that was actually going to be my first question.
Yeah.
Is this, are there going to be presentations, or is the subject matter going to be exclusive to business practices that are in the United States? Because I know with a lot of finance and things like that, with rules being what they are,
sure,
things will apply here and won't apply across the pond, for example, in England or in South America or Mexico. This is one of those things where everybody all over the world can join and can check this out.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's if you look at the U.S., it's. I mean, I have a belief that the world is kind of becoming universal. Like borders are coming down, there's no more lines really. I mean, there are in a sense, but looking at the U.S., it's used oftentimes as kind of a benchmark economy for other emerging markets. So yeah, I would say that it's not perfectly applicable, but it's more applicable than any other country.
Okay.
But there's still there are going to be topics that are agnostic to what country you're in. I mean, we're going to have topics on finance and real estate that may apply to the U.S., but there's definitely some principles that apply outside.
Okay, and see, so you're touching on something else then. So if somebody does not work or have a career in the financial space, but say they have a basement business or a garage business, or they have an entrepreneurial spirit, and maybe their startup is doing really well and they're looking to take it to the next level, but they're not as versed in the economy as say you are, this would be a great time for them to jump in and sign up for something like this, correct?
Sure. I mean,
there's going to be something for everybody, right?
I think it is finance leaning. Right. But in the end, most people are in their professions for money. Right. So you're going to have, investing topics. You're going to have money management topics. You're going to have accounting topics. But we've also kind of expanded.
Real estate and things like that.
And then real, investment. And there's some alternative investments in there as well.
Cool.
But we also wanted to make sure that we do apply the conference to not just financial things, but business, right, or economics. Also, marketing is a big part of it. So we have a couple of marketing people that are going to be speaking. One is his name's Tucker Max. He runs a business called Book in a Box.
Tucker Max.
Yeah.
Kaboom. Man, that guy. Holy cow.
And so they've done hundreds and hundreds of books. I think maybe over 1,000 books in the last 3 years.
Right.
And what they do is they have a whole really cool process to teach you. They interview you. They basically do the whole process, but it's a book written in your voice. So you have that, but you also have some podcasting topics. You have video. I mean, video, it's still, it's been popular. It's becoming so much more popular.
It's becoming essential.
It
if
is.
You're a business owner.
It's everything, right?
If you're not a media personality and you are in the business world, you better become a media personality really, really quick because you'll fail. I mean, it's becoming that vital.
All right, dude. I'm gonna actually do something right now.
Okay.
So we are going to.
We got like 20 cameras on us right now just doing this.
Well, you need like 50
Yeah.
cameras. I'm just kidding. All right, this is like a total live. Dude, you're live on Instagram.
You're putting this on Instagram right now?
It is. It's like going, dude. This is the dude. I have. Oh,
I'm totally unprepared.
Yeah, and I have like my thumb.
Where's my Tic Tacs?
Tic Tacs.
See that? There he is. There's Patrick right there.
So anyway,
work in the media, work in the social media.
Not very well. I have like my thumb over the lens half the time. No, but it's one of the things where you have like Facebook Live, right? You had, the kind of the advent of Periscope, but now, Facebook has definitely capitalized on that idea.
Yeah.
And so you really have live streams going on across the world, right?
And can I tell
It's
you,
fascinating.
marketing is terrifying to business owners because it changes so fast.
Every day.
Really quick story. One of the guys that works on our marketing team here, Kent Dunn, and I were in Southern California last week in Disneyland, and we thought, for this other project that we're working on, we should do Facebook Live like we do here on the Wealth Standard. We should just do, we've never done it before, we should do a live stream on Facebook. You would think it's a .com, it's an online radio thing that we do. Very, very popular, but we've never done anything like this. And so we decided to do it. Tens of thousands of views in a day.
Yeah.
It was
Isn't that
crazy.
Yep.
Blew me away. And now we're strategizing every day since. How can we do this more? Where can we go to do this? How can we maximize this?
Yeah.
And it was something that we just kind of stumbled upon without even understanding this kind of thing.
Yeah. So it's like so these are topics and everyone needs, because well, not necessarily
Right.
needs, but I would say that
sure.
it's applicable to so many people, regardless of your stature, your position, your role, whether it's at a business or whether it's as a student
or corporation.
Yeah, exactly. So so we have some topics that are geared toward that, but we also got an economist that I follow, and he's very very different. His name's Richard Duncan.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Yeah, and he lives in Thailand, but and he has a perspective on things that's very, very unique, and he's very versed in what he does and what he says, and often goes against the grain of
really powerful.
Both kind of free market economists, but also your traditional left-leaning economists.
Can I ask you a question, though? Talking to Andy Tanner, one of the organizers of the Cash Flow Wealth Summit, great guy, very smart guy. And was Richard Duncan, was he the guy that said, that Andy Tanner said, he's the only guy I've ever seen that can deliver a speech and say the world is going to come to an end and receive a standing ovation?
Yeah.
Was he the guy that said that?
Yeah, he
was
did.
Like, the world is going to end and you're all screwed.
Yeah, he did.
And everybody stood up and went, yo, that was awesome.
Yeah, his
person.
And I'm not going to, I won't go into details, but because he's written a few books, I'm sure some of our listeners have read those. But he is very opinionated as far as the stimulation of the economy.
Okay.
And it really it's interesting because I happen to agree with a lot of those aspects where we're so far down this beaten path, we only really have a few options. But anyway, I won't spoil it.
We've spent some time talking about that here.
Yeah. But I would say like the understanding of economics is important for everyone, right? Because economics, what's going on, especially in the world economy, it affects everything. It affects professions. It affects wages. It affects prices. I mean, it's so vital and important, but yet it's one of those topics where the instant you hear it, it's like your brain tunes out, right?
Yeah.
So Richard Duncan, I can't. He's going to be one of the keynotes, but we have Jarek Robbins that's going to be speaking as well, and we have a lot of the Rich Dad folks that are coming back,
like Andy Tanner.
Yeah, like Andy Tanner. So it's going to be also Russ Gray of the real estate guys. He's going to be there, but
Russ is great.
Yeah, and I know a lot of those that have been listening to the Wealth Standard Radio for a while. They've the podcast.
They know some of these guys.
They know
like
they know
Russ,
the event.
example.
Yeah, they know the event. They know, but for those that are listening, for the first time or just started listening the last couple of months, I mean, this is an event where it really should be attended by as many people as possible because number one, it doesn't cost anything, but number two, it's really messaging from professionals that usually charge thousands, tens of thousands of dollars to speak at events where you have to spend a lot of money to go to. So it's one of those unique opportunities where you can be in an environment that is proven to help take people's games to the next level, right? Whether it's motivation or giving them ideas.
Yeah.
It's really, it's an environment that everyone should benefit from. And that's how we've designed it.
Well, that old cliche, those who can't teach. right? That's what I think everybody listening has heard that at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Well, those who can't teach, think about how much you pay for college. Think about how much you pay to take a course or a semester at college. Well, this is an opportunity for you to learn from people that are not only teaching you, but are currently doing it and are active. These are not guys that are out of the financial space. Yeah. These are not guys that are out of their profession. They are active and working and succeeding, and you can learn from them directly from the comfort of your own home or while you're on a plane or wherever you are, you're on the train or whatever, you can take part in the summit and learn directly from the people that are enjoying great success, and you can do it for free.
Well, I think another point too, and this is where I think live events are going to become more prominent, right, and more utilized, because especially with school, with college, it's one of those things where a curriculum associated with college can be dated within a month or 2 months or 3 months. Where if you have a course on marketing, or if you have a course on communications, and you have all these things lined out, I mean, to get into that position, you have to like pass a board has to approve this, and you have to have approved books and approved curriculum, and it may take like years to do that. Finally you get it, but yet everything becomes obsolete, right, because of how quickly the economy
changes too fast
and society is evolving.
How are
right?
you able to keep up? You can't keep up.
Yeah, so these are messages, these are presentations which are really applicable to us in the here and now. So whether it's the marketing side of things, whether it's real estate investing, which I know a lot of people come because of that topic.
Yeah.
But my opinion, what I've seen, what I've heard, what I'm learning is that we're in a different cycle as far as real estate is concerned.
It's a weird
especially
cycle.
investing, and you have to be prepared for that, because if you're planning on investing the same way you have in the past, and there's a correction, it may not work. So we have topics like short-term rentals. We have topics like vacation or hospitality type of property.
Yeah.
We still have the buy and hold, but it really talks about the markets where the numbers make sense. And if you're in a hot market, or maybe that was a previous hot market, when to sell. I mean, how often do you always have when to buy, but when to sell? Nobody ever really brings that up. So we're going to have some topics on that too. So it's
one of the operations, I think we've actually spoken about this, you and I, is a convention that caters to preppers. And I know that may sound weird to people, but it was a section of our community that just wasn't being served. And so we decided to do it, and it worked. And one of the biggest things at our convention that we did for preppers, one of the biggest sales, one of the things that people were leaving with the most was precious metals, silver, to be specific. They love silver. Are we doing anything with educating people on precious metals? Because that seems to be one of those things that people are really into right now.
Yeah, and we're not. First, that's not a topic. I had thought about that.
Okay,
but looking at precious metals. It's one of those things where it's been around for a long time, and I own a lot of gold and silver, but it's one of those things where I've leaned more away from that, just because it is
is that right?
Because it's a fear-based play.
Okay,
if you own a lot of gold and a lot of silver, right, what do you have from it? You have value, right? But what does that do to improve your life? Are you able to use it to is there cash flow that comes from it? Is there interest?
That is one of your cornerstones to investing, is how does it improve the quality of your
Now, I have it for specific reasons, right? But in the end, as far as how most people are buying, I would argue that it's not necessarily for the right reasons, or a reason to help improve your life.
I find that very interesting. Okay, maybe we could do an entire show about that.
No, I've seen it from. I'd say that from experience. I mean, I've had a lot of people that I know that just hoard, buy, and they're like in this position where they need cash, right? Or they need to supplement here. They have an investment opportunity. They have a business opportunity, and it's like you can't. You have to liquidate it, and that comes down to the price at which you're going to liquidate. Yeah, so it's one of those things where, I understand, and I think there's a role. But as far as like the cash flow wealth summit, unless you're trading options, right, or you're going that route, which Andy Tanner is going to be talking about.
He is doing an options thing,
and he's big on that. I mean, I know he's done some of those type of plays before with commodities and precious metals. But looking at really kind of like the numismatic and the bullion and that type of play, we don't have that for.
What about? And I'm just throwing you curveballs here. And I'm sorry.
Thanks. Thank you. Thanks for the curveballs, Chunga. I'm just kidding.
What about books? I know a lot of people. If you're a business owner nowadays, if you have any sort of entrepreneurial spirit whatsoever, you're going to have to write a book.
Yeah.
to really get your name out there. Are we doing anything about that?
Yeah, I mean, that's Tucker. I mean, that's Tucker Max, where it's like,
Okay.
we had, a few years ago, we had another group that presented, which is more based on like business books. But I would say that these days, books they have to invoke something different in you, right? I say that the length is important, the message is important, the uniqueness is important, because if it's one of those like, boring books, people are just going to go on to the other, bajillion books that are out there, right? But I think from a professional standpoint, having a book really places you on the map, right? It gives you a calling card that you didn't previously have. You're a published author. I mean, it still means a lot. So looking at how to do it the right way, because that's another thing that I've seen is if a book's written and the grammar's off, or there's a misspelling, or you have two words that are, combined. I mean, that could hurt.
Well, you're putting yourself out into the mass populace and saying, "Hey, judge me."
Yeah,
judge me on what I know. That's what happens when you write a book.
Exactly. So, this company, Book in a Box, I think it's revolutionary because it uses really top talent, but their business model is fascinating because it's not necessarily centralized in like an office. It's a very virtual business where you have editors and publishers and outliners and everything kind of scattered around the country working virtually, and that's really. And maybe next year we do this, but you look at just organization these days where companies are. I mean, it's more difficult to find talent in a local community, right? And what other choice did they have 30, 40, 50 years ago, or even 10 years ago? Yeah. But now you've had this this revolution as far as working remote, freelancers and so forth. I mean, I've met people that just travel around the world or travel in their RV and they're freelancers and they do copywriting. And they'll do some illustrations, they'll do video work.
Oh wow!
Traveling around in an RV.
Hey, that's not such a bad life, really.
No, so it's one of those things where business is evolving, and one of our other keynotes, Cameron Harold, that's going to be. I'm not sure exactly what his topic is going to be yet.
Okay,
but Cameron Harold. I mean, we've done book studies here on his Meetings Suck book. So that's kind of an odd book to use when you're doing a book study with your management group, right? But also he has a book called Double Double. I mean, he is I'm
a fan of.
I love the way he speaks. I love the way he articulates things. He's clearly a very intelligent individual. Has a really popular network. He networks with a lot of big names. But Cameron Harold will be one of the other keynotes. And it's just management, it's organization, it's how do you have a culture at a company. Yeah. And I think that's important.
I think that's one of the hardest things for a lot of people is networking.
Yeah,
and this would be a perfect opportunity. Yeah. To sharpen those skills as well.
Sure, yeah, but I think kind of an ending, because we won't do a long podcast today. But in ending, really, if you listen for a while, this is not going to sound new or bizarre, but I really believe that your environment is what creates your future, right? The people you surround yourself in, the environment you place yourself in to stretch you to the next level. Yeah. Because I think making any progress, there has to be a stretch, right? If you want to build muscle, you have to tear it down, right? And that's uncomfortable for people. That's why you get a lot of soreness when you're building muscles. But looking at really in a business environment or professional environment, being stretched outside of your comfort zone is going to allow you to understand things from a different perspective. It's going to allow you to solve problems. So I think this is the Cashflow Wealth Summit is an environment where you're going to have motivational messages. You're going to have messages that make you think differently. You're going to have messages that probably contradict some things that you think. Doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It just means it's another perspective. It may help refine your perspective or completely change it, right?
I love that. I love that. I've got two questions before we go really quick. Question number one, who are you the most excited to see? Can you do that without offending any of your colleagues and any of your mates? Do you have a particular presentation that you're looking forward to the most?
I have Cameron Harold. I mean, you just mentioned him. Ken McElroy. I think Kenny's a brilliant guy, and he's always on top of things. He sees things, and I have a tremendous respect for him. I've been able to kind of associate with him for the last several years. I know he knows what's going on in different economies, what's going on with our specific economy, the world economy, and that's how he does his investing. And he owns thousands and thousands of investment properties or doors, and he's always up on what's going on. So I can't wait to hear from him. But yeah, Cameron Harold, I've listened to a lot of his stuff online, and I love the way that he speaks, loves the way he engages with people. So I'm excited to hear what he has to say.
So those are your Minnesota.
What about you? What are some of your favorites from what you've seen?
I like Andy because I think he can break down really complicated business practices, and he does it in a way that's really, really simple. It's almost like business for dummies that Andy does. He does. I like that. And Tucker Max. I'm excited to see Tucker Max. He's a really polarizing guy. A lot of people don't like him.
A lot of people, yeah.
And I think that's great. The more opinionated you are about something, the more people aren't going to like you. But opinionated people make the world turn. And so I'm excited. I'm excited about Tucker Max.
Yeah, Russ Gray. I've known Russ for a number of years. That's another
Russ,
president.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah, he is so studious. I mean, just what he understands, how he writes. I mean, some of the newsletters and blogs that he writes are fascinating. He has this kind of unique way of teaching through them. So I know his presentation is going to be awesome because when he puts something together, he puts so much effort, so much time, so much energy into it. So I think his is going to be really cool too.
Okay, so my final question is, how do people attend the Cashflow Wealth Summit? How does that happen? Do they need to go somewhere and sign up?
Yeah, so it's cashflowwealthsummit.com.
Okay.
And on there, it will show all the speakers.
We'll include a link in the show notes here for you to.
Yep. And I think we have, if you go to our Facebook page, it's there. It'll be in the show notes on thewealthstandard.com. But the easiest is just to go to the web page and register.
Take some time, look
free.
through it.
Yep.
Yeah. And if you are an expert, or if you fancy yourself an expert and you want to speak, you can always hit us up.
Sure.
Send us some information, and we'd love to take a look at you and pursue it further.
Yeah, these virtual events are. The first couple of years they were pretty difficult, especially the first year. It was hard to kind of pull it off just because we'd never done it before.
Yeah.
But we've kind of gotten the hang of it, and events are easier to do. Like last fall, we had a pure like real estate investing only summit, and so in the future, we're probably going to do these little niche summits, niche financial summits.
I think it's great.
Yeah, because it's there's a lot of what people want to hear. But there's also a lot that isn't here that they want to hear. And so that's where I would say, we're always trying to get feedback and response, and just so we know kind of what direction to take things so it's of the most value for people.
I can't wait for it.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. All right, let's go ahead and end this. Thanks for watching, you guys on live. So if you wanted to...
Thank you.
Hello, live people.
Yeah.
But thanks so much for joining us today. And... we'll have a cool podcast next week with Mr. Connor Boyack talking about some libertarian stuff.
That guy freaks me out.
Yeah,
he's so smart.
Pretty cool. He's a really cool guy.
Oh yeah.
But stay tuned for that one. And again, registration is www.cashflowwealthsummit.com. All right, that's it for today. We will talk to you and see you next week.
You've been listening to the Wealth Standard Podcast, the gold standard in all things financial.